So he told very few people about his decision to take sannyas. One of the persons that he shared was Gauridas Pandit. So Gauridas Pandit is a little older than Mahaprabhu, and he lives in Kulna, or he lived in Kulna, that is across the Ganges from Shantipur. Shantipur is where Advaita is there. So in the evening, Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu, the lords came to his house, and then Mahaprabhu told him of his decision that I'm going to be taking sannyas, and I'll be leaving Navdeep Dham and going somewhere else. So Gauridas is a very, very close, intimate associate of Mahaprabhu, and the rasa is so Gauridas in the Vrindavan rasa is Subal. He's one of the 12 intimate cowherd boys of friends of Krishna. So Subal has this Virya rasa, that sometimes he is angry with Krishna, chastises Krishna, but very, very friendly with Krishna. So Gauridas became very angry at Mahaprabhu. And then he started chastising him and said, you cannot leave me, and I cannot live without you. Give up this thought of taking sannyas. And both Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu, they kept trying to appease him, and he would not get appeased. So Krishna is Bhakta Vatsalya. He does what his devotees ask him to do. So Gauridas at one point said that, so Mahaprabhu said, what is it that you would like me to do? So Gauridas, in the ecstasy of emotion, he said that I want to stay over here forever and never leave my hut. So Mahaprabhu said, done. That I will live here forever and I will never leave your hut. So Gauridas was happy. He said, now you sit over here, I will come and I will cook some prasadam for you and get for you. So he went into the kitchen and he started preparing dishes that he knew Mahaprabhu liked. When he came out, there were two Mahaprabhus and two Nityanand Prabhus there. So then Gauridas said, what is this? How come you have both manifested on other forms? So then Mahaprabhu said that you're a Vaishnava, so you should know that my deity form is not different from me. So one of my forms is me, one of them is deity. They're both the same. You pick any one that you want, and we will stay with you forever. So Gauridas, he fed both the Mahaprabhus, both the Nityananda Prabhus very opulently, and then after they ate, then two of them, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, they started getting up to leave. So then Gauridas said, no, you stay, they can go. Because he thought in his mind that he wanted to keep the original form. So he thought in his mind the original form is leaving. So he said, no, you stay, they can leave. So Mahaprabhu said, okay. So they sat down, the other two forms, they sat down. Gauridas said, no, you stay, these can leave. So this way he did a few times, and finally then he realized that there is no difference between Mahaprabhu and his deity form. So finally, one pair of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu left, the other pair, they stepped on the altar and they became deities. So those deities are still present there in Kulna. And if you go to the temple over there, you will also see a Bhagavad Gita that is written by Mahaprabhu himself with his own hands. It's been written on, at that time they used to write on leaves, some special kinds of leaves that became parchments. So they would stay for a long time. So you'll see the Bhagavad Gita over there, written by Mahaprabhu himself. There is also ore over there. So ore is the thing that you use for the boats. So once Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu came and they crossed the Ganges from Shantipur, so Mahaprabhu came holding the ore in his hand, and Gauridas Pandit asked, why are you carrying this? And then he says that Mahaprabhu, in his mood of ecstasy, he said that in this age of Kali, this nations is like an ocean, very difficult to to cross. But anybody who takes shelter of the holy name of Krishna can very easily cross over the ocean. And this is the ore that will remind them. So that ore is also still there. So many years later on, there was so Gauridas had this mood in which his main worship to the deities was through prasadam. That he would cook every day. He would cook very opulent prasadam for them. He would spend hours and hours cooking prasadam and offering it. So one day Mahaprabhu, in the deity form, he said, Gauridas, it's okay, you're old now. Your health is bad. So just offer us some simple prasad. Just offer us with love and devotion, and that is enough. And then Gauridas became very angry. And so in his anger, he said that from tomorrow onwards I will only offer you some roots and some leaves. You just be satisfied with that. And I will also not eat. So then Mahaprabhu pacified him. He said, no, whatever you want, you can offer to me, I will eat. So Gauridas continued to offer very opulent prasadam over there. So once it was the appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the festival was there. So Gauridas had an intimate disciple called Chaitanya Das. He had named him Chaitanya Das. And he was also very attached to service of Mahaprabhu. So it so happened that Gauridas had left the temple on some work. And as the day of the appearance of Mahaprabhu came closer and closer, Chaitanya Das became in more and more anxiety. Because it was a great day of festival. And generally every year, a lot of arrangements are done, invitations are sent, and nothing was done. So finally, Chaitanya Das, on behalf of his spiritual master, he started making all these arrangements. So he sent out the invitations, he started collecting the various paraphernalia for the festival. Then just a few days before, Gauridas returned. And then he saw that everything was ready and the invitations had gone out. So this is a transcendental pastime. So Gauridas displayed transcendental anger. So a disciple is not supposed to do anything unless they get the permission of the Guru. So the Gauridas said that it looks like you don't need my permission anymore. You have become a Guru yourself. You're taking all kinds of decisions. So Chaitanya Das was very mortified, and he left the premises of the temple, and he sat under a tree fasting in repentance. So while he was there, a very rich merchant came by, and then he offered him lot of wealth and paraphernalia. And Chaitanya Das, of course, he took everything and he took to his spiritual master. So by that time Gauridas was pacified, and he said, okay, you start doing the festival. So then on the day of the appearance of Mahaprabhu, there was a huge festival. There was huge kirtan, devotees were ecstatically dancing, and the deities on the altar disappeared. So when Gangadas was one of the first teachers of Mahaprabhu. He used to run a toll. When Mahaprabhu was a child, he was studying in the toll of Gangadas. So Gangadas saw that the deities had disappeared. So he went running to Gauridas. Gauridas was old and he was more or less bedridden. And he said, your Prabhus are gone. They are not there on the temple anymore. So Gauridas says, I know all about them. So he picked a stick in his hand and he went to where the kirtan was happening. And then he saw that in the kirtan party, Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, they were both dancing in the kirtan. So with a stick he started chasing them, saying that you belong on the altar. You are my worshipful deities, get back onto the altar. So when they saw Gauridas coming in anger, then the deities, out of fear, they jumped into what they saw was the purest place, which was the heart of Chaitanya Das. And they disappeared. So Gauridas, with his eyes he could see this pastime, so he said, okay, I'm not angry, come back and manifest yourself. So the deities came back. And Gauridas, he embraced Chaitanya Das, and then he said, from today, your name is Hriday Chaitanya, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took shelter in the heart of the devotee. So these deities are the only deities that Mahaprabhu allowed to be made while he was still manifesting his pastimes. Because Mahaprabhu came in the mood of a devotee, he forbade any form of him to be worshipped. Because his focus was that everybody should worship Krishna's holy name. But because of his intimate association with Gauridas, he permitted that. So those, like I said, those deities, if you are fortunate to go to Mayapur, they are not very far from Mayapur. You can take darshan of the deities. They still make very nice prasadam, opulent prasadam over there. You can take darshan of the Bhagavad Gita, take darshan of the Lord over there. So the philosophy that we are given, because as we have read in Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam, that Gaudiya Vaishnavism involves a lot of scrutinizing study of the scriptures. But along with the study of the scriptures, deity worship is a very important anga. Sometimes people in their mind, they think that these are contradictory. That people who are bhavakas, people who are emotional, a lot of time, at least in India, deity worship is more or less considered to be done by the women, because they are not expert in the shastras, they don't understand the tattvas, so you worship deities. But in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it's almost the opposite. That when understands the tattva properly, when one understands the scriptures properly, then one becomes qualified to worship the deities. So when we worship the deities in our house, we begin the worship with self-purification, like taking a bath, doing achman, and so that is known as abhigaman. So gaman means approaching, abhi means getting ready to approach the deities. The next step is known as upadan. So upadan is arranging the paraphernalia to worship the deities. So we assemble the arti tray, the achman water, the nevadya, we get the prasadam ready. So all the paraphernalia we get ready. So that is upadan. The third step is called yoga. So yoga is the step in which we link ourselves to Krishna. So we link through chanting of mantras. The Brahmins will chant the Gayatris. We'll chant different prayers in which we understand that we are not the body, either the gross or the subtle body, but we are Gopi Bharato, Dasu Dasanu Das. We are the servants of the protector of Gopi. The fourth step is known as Ijya. So Ijya is also called Puja. So this is where we offer the depending on our ability, we offer 64 items or 16 items or 8 items. So we offer the paraphernalia. So typically what we offer is incense, we'll offer ghee lamp, water, cloth, flower, chamar. These are typical items we offer. But we can have simple arti also. We can just offer chamar, we can offer just ghee lamp, depending on our time, place and circumstance. We offer it. And the fifth step is known as Swadhyaya. So Swadhyaya is that whenever we worship the deities, the worship of the deity should be, so Swadhyaya means, Swa means self and Adhyaya means study. So we always worship the deity and we accompany it with the study of the scriptures. Swadhyaya also means chanting. That we chant the names of the deities. So when we get the deities in our house, we follow these 5 steps. Gaura Nitai deities are very merciful. So even if we do any offense, even before we commit the offense, they forgive us for that. And only thing we have to be careful is not to deliberately commit offense, because we are in this particular age where we will always commit offense. It's our nature, because the environment is not conducive, our training is not conducive. Kaldesh Patra, sometimes we are running late for work, sometimes we have competing priorities. So unknowingly, we'll always commit offense. Only thing we have to protect against is knowingly committing offense. That we know that this is offensive to the deities and we do something like that. We come to the house, we don't offer obeisances to the deities. We establish a certain standard of worship, the deities begin to expect that standard. So we get up in the morning, we give them something to eat. Some days we keep them hungry. And different grastas, they have different standards. Some of them bathe once a week, some of them bathe every day, some of them bathe once a month. But whatever standard we do, the deities, they expect that standard. So to the best of our ability, we try and maintain that standard. We don't whimsically treat the deities. They're like important guests in your house. So when you have guests, to the best of your ability, you treat them with respect and deference. And we may not be able to serve them to the level they expect to be served, but the real offering that we make to them is our sincerity. So anytime that when we're looking at is our service to the deities going well, the question we have to ask ourselves is that are we sincerely serving the deities to our best of ability. So I'll stop here, see if there is any questions or comments.
If someone goes on leave or vacation or something like that, what happens to deities?
So there are 2 or 3 things that can possibly happen. If the deities are small enough, you can carry the deities with you and worship them along with you. If that is not convenient, or you feel that the deities cannot be worshipped and travel, you can give them to another devotee. The other devotee can worship them. Sometimes even that is not possible. Then you can keep Shaligram Shila, and you can take the Shaligram Shila along with you. So the deities, the Shaligram Shila represents the deities, the essence of the deities. So when you're worshipping the Shaligram Shila, the deities are being worshipped. If you're not able to do that, then you can just ask the forgiveness of the deities, say that I'm going to be traveling, I will be worshipping you in my mind, and at a particular time where you feel that the worship is needed, you can worship the deities in your mind. So the whole process is practical and based upon your ability and capability.
So, Guruji, I think this pastime answered my question. So, the question that I had was, generally speaking, Iskcon is the only temple that recommends Gaura Nitai deity worship in the form of deity, right? So, I wanted to know, like, when did that begin? Like, when did Radha Krishna is still worshipped, but Gaura Nitai is also worshipped. Was it through this pastime that when this started?
So after Gaura Nitai, they wound up the pastimes. Then different devotees of Gaura Nitai, they took permission to worship them in a deity form. So Gauridas is a bit of an exception because he was worshipping Gaura Nitai while Gaura Nitai was present there. And the deities that he worshipped, they are self-manifested deities. But the other devotees, they had taken permission, and when Gaura Nitai pastimes ended, then they they began the worship of the deities. The worship is done by Gaudiya, by all the Gaudiya followers, not just ISKCON, but all the followers of Gaudiya. And the worship is also done in the south. It's not that prevalent, but if you go to the south, you will see there are some temples of God Nitai there, where they were worshipped. If you go to Sri Rangam, then before the Sri Rangam temple, there is a temple of God Nitai. Because Mahaprabhu stayed over there for Chaturmash in the house of Venkata Bhatt, who was the head priest of Sri Rangam. And his son Gopal Bhatt, he became one of the 6 Goswamis there. So they are there at other places. Anything else?
One small doubt from you. So, you mentioned that the deity worship is not standardized, and for example, chanting, right? There is a recommendation for minimum 16 rounds, and then of course you can do more. But why is it now so with deity worship, wherein there should be certain recommendation, like have to do at a minimum 2 aartis or 2 bhogas or something like that? Why that flexibility?
So if you get Radha Krishna deities, then there is a standard that is recommended that you are supposed to follow. And for Gaur Nitai, because Gaur Nitai are so they are Audariya Bhav. They are the manifestation of mercy. So as long as the person is worshipping sincerely, the worship is received. Now, having said that, generally when somebody takes Gaur Nitai deities, the minimum standard that is recommended is 1 offering a day and at least 1 aarti a day, waking and sleeping the deities, putting them. That's the minimum standard that is maintained. For devotees who are serious, who are initiated, who are chanting, that's the minimum standard. Now, having said that, there are people who take Gaur Nitai deities with the blessings of devotees and with the understanding that worship them to the best of your ability, but at least chant in front of them every day. So, if you're talking about standard, then that is the foundation.
Sure.
That if you can't offer food, if you can't offer aarti, can't put them to rest, can't wake them up, then at least once a day, sit in front of them, chant for some time.
Thank you.
When you mentioned earlier in the beginning, you said there is permanent installation temporary. Is that you're talking about when someone physically moves? Is that temporary what you're talking about?
No, Prabhu, temporary installation is done in yagyas. So in yagyas, what they do is that, so they will, in yagyas they have the water pot on which they put the coconut. So and then they invite Lord Vishnu to reside there. So that's an example of a temporary. Sometimes devotees, they will fashion a deity out of mud and water for the purpose of worship. So if they're attached to the worship, but the deities are not there, they will fashion a deity out of mud and water, like Arjun did. When Arjun was fighting with Lord Shiv, and Lord Shiv was beating him up pretty badly, so he was like, what to do? So then he actually established a temporary deity of Lord Shiv, and he started worshipping the deity, and then he saw that all the offerings that he was making was appearing on. So Lord Shiva had come disguised as a hunter. So then he understood that the personality is the same. But that's an example of a temporary deity. So in the temporary deity, you invoke the deity, you worship, and then you ask the deity to leave. So there's another So there's another pastime that happened during the during Chaitanya Leela, and this was in the house of a devotee of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu was personally present at the time, called Mukunda Datta, and he had a son known as Raghunandan. So Mukunda Datta had a deity of Krishna, and he used to worship the deity very, very nicely every day. So once, because of some work, Mukunda had to go. So Raghunandan was a small 5-year boy, and so he told his wife that ask him to at least offer Naivedyam, at least offer food to Krishna. So he said, okay. So the mother gave the food. Raghunandan went in there. He put the food in front of Krishna and he said, eat. And then he was waiting there and the deity did not eat. So then he started getting upset. And he said, I'm waiting. How long do you want me to wait? Please eat. So the deity will not eat. So then he started crying. He said, my mother asked me to offer this to you. My father, before going, he said that I should offer you food. I'm sitting here offering you food and you're not eating. So the deity manifested and ate the bhoga. So he took the plate away and his mother said, where is the prasadam? He said, deity ate it. Mother said, really? Deity actually ate it? He said, yeah, deity ate it. So mother thought that he has eaten it. He's just blaming it on the deity. So this continued for a few days while Mukunda was traveling. So then when he came back, then his wife, she told her husband that I've been giving him bhoga every day. He takes it to the bhoga room, to the deity room, and he says the deities eat it. So Mukunda said, really? He said, yeah, I think he's eating it, but it's a lot of food. I don't think he can eat it by himself, so I don't know what's going on. So then Mukunda called Raghunandan and he asked him that what happens when you go and offer the bhog? And he said, Krishna eats it. And he said, really? Will Krishna eat it while I'm there? He said, I don't know. We can try. So next day, Mukunda, he hid behind the curtain. And Raghunandan, he had a laddu as a bhoga. So he took the laddu in his hand and he told the deity, as he used to say, eat. So the deity's hand came forward and took the laddu and started eating the laddu. And then Raghunandan, and Mukunda, and he was in ecstasy, and then he stepped out from the curtain, and the deity stopped eating. So the deity is still there in Srihata, and in the hand of the deity there is a half-eaten laddu. I don't think it's the same laddu, but they have a half-eaten laddu there. When Mahaprabhu came and visited Mukunda's house, so Mahaprabhu of course is omniscient. So Mukunda's, as parents do, when people come to the house, they'll get the child and say, please bless him. So Mukunda got his son Raghunandan in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, please bless him. So Mahaprabhu said, asked him, Mukunda, so he said, please bless my son. So Mahaprabhu looked at Mukunda and he said, who is the father and who is the son over here? You first tell me this. So then Mukunda understood what Mahaprabhu was saying, and he said that by material considerations, I am his father. But by spiritual understanding, he is my father. Because he has understood the real position of a deity. He has understood that Krishna and his deity form is non-different. And Mahaprabhu was very happy. And Raghunandan, he was later called Raghunandan Thakur. He received the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and later on he composed many very exalted literatures in the glorification of Mahaprabhu. So in this way there are many, many pastimes for deities. For people from Jagannath Puri, there are books and books of pastimes. of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. So Lord Jagannath is famous for his pastimes, to the extent that even where people keep Lord Jagannath in their house, in ISKCON in Mayapur there is a Jagannath temple, and even that Lord Jagannath has very, very interesting rasa with the devotees, with the sannyasis. If you travel to Jagannath Puri, if you travel to the Jaipur temples, Radha Madan Mohan temple, Radha Madan Mohan also, Madan Mohan temple in Karoli, they are very nice pastimes over there. So even in Vrindavan there is Banke Bihari. So if you've been to Banke Bihari, then the pujaris will tell you that the deities, they're so attracted to the devotees that they follow the devotees. They jump off the altar and follow. So in Banke Bihari, they don't give full darshan, they give chalak darshan. So they'll open the curtain for 30 seconds, 1 minute, and they'll close it. And the reason they do it is if they open the curtain too long, then Krishna runs off from the altar. He goes after the devotees. So when you have deities in your house, you will also have very wonderful pastimes with the deities. In ISKCON Durban, the pujaris will swear that in the earlier years, when it was a small temple, there was little bit of congregation. Radharani was very thin at the time. And when the temple became more opulent, then the clothes did not fit Radharani anymore. The same clothes that they would do, they could not fit anymore. So they had to order new clothes there. In Vrindavan, this is more recent. There was a Gaura Nitai deity that was worshipped in a temple by an old woman, and she was worshipping to the best of her ability. That she was treating them as children, and she was getting old. So a brahmachari was asked to come and take care of the worship of the deities. So brahmachari was a Pakka Brahman. He knew a lot of mantras, lot of upchars and all that. And he was worshipping, with all the proper vidhis, etc. So once he came down in the morning, and he told the old woman that, Ma, it's time to give bathe the deities. And then she said, no, don't bathe the deities today. She said, we are supposed to bathe the deities every day morning. How can we not bathe the deities? It's part of the Shadopchar Puja. She said, no, they have a bad cold. Don't bathe them. So the brahmachari started getting upset. And they said, but if I don't bathe the deities, how will I offer them arti, and how will I offer them food, etc. And then finally the old woman, she started getting upset. She said, come over here. So the brahmachari came. So she caught hold of Mahaprabhu's nose and pinched it. And then she showed her hand. It was full of mucus. And she said, don't you see? He has such a bad cold. And you still want to bathe them? And then the brahmachari understood that all that he knew, all that he had learned, it was basically, it was important, but it was basically sadhana vedhi. And the woman was worshipping out of pure love there. If you go to Mayapur, there's a Mamgachi temple. It's a little bit outside Mayapur. And there's a very, very old person who worships there, who's been worshipping the deity since he was 8 years old. He's worshipping for almost, I'm not sure if he's still alive, he's worshipping for more than 80 years. And he will tell you so many wonderful, Radha Madan Gopal deity, so many wonderful pastimes of the deities. But as a child, when he was asked by his guru, at that time, this was almost 80 years ago, that whole area was a jungle. And there were dacoits and lions and tigers over there, and the temple was in the middle. And when he was given the instructions to worship by his guru, he said, make sure that anybody who comes to take darshan of the deity, they're given good prasadam. So that was his vow. And he himself, we went there, we've been there 3 or 4 times, and he said, never has anybody gone without eating. That always Nitai, Radha Madan Mohan, they will make that arrangement. Radha Madan Gopal, they'll make that arrangement. that sometimes there was suddenly a huge group of people came up to take darshan, and he had nothing in the kitchen. And then almost behind them, unrelated, a person on a bullock cart came carrying huge amount of bhoga. When we went ourselves, of course now people know it, so when we went ourselves, we had purchased bhoga and we went there. And we were in a little bit of a hurry, but he was very insistent. He said, "You sit here and don't move until I cook." But he cooks very fast. He's old, like he's bent over like this, but he moves. It's interesting to see. He moves at the speed of light. He's here and here and here at the same time. And the prasadam he cooks is very, very sumptuous, very, very tasty. He has very basic kitchen. He has a wood fire that he lights up. So he cooks right from scratch. Does not have Instapot and microwave. So he lights that wooden thing and he cooks. But he'll cook very quickly. And you eat the prasad, you're fully satisfied. And he has the ability that if there are 3 people sitting, one person likes the aloo sabji, one person likes the eggplant sabji, one person likes the shukha. He will give them what they like. He will say, "You take more aloo, you take more eggplant, you take more shukha." And when we were there, we were eating. The altar was open, so we are used to closing the altar at the time of eating. And then we said that do you want to close the altar? Or do you want a prasadam? And then he looked at the deities, and he says that in Bengali he said that it's for them only I'm doing all this. So let the door be open.
He also said that they like to see devotees eat.
Yeah, he said they like to see it. They like to see. And so we sat in front of the deities.
Yeah, we said, "Oh my God, he'll scold you." Bengali means, "Beto, beto." No, you cannot go. It's like oh my God, he's so cute. He's so adorable. It's like half bent and so old, but he's just.
And then while you're eating, he'll preach to you.
Yeah, then
he will quote Chaitanya Charitamrita. He speaks so fast Bengali that at least we could figure out very little what he was saying. But that does not stop him.
Yeah.
He will preach in saying Mahaprabhu said this, Nityananda Prabhu said this. He will give.
Mahaprabhu, Nityananda,
Japa. He quotes shlokas.
Not that difficult to understand. Some words you can say.
He's just really old, so his speech is also not very clear, but he's just so enthusiastic, and so sweet.
Yeah. When so one of the devotees in a congregation, you may have seen him, Sankirtan Yagya, he's a Western devotee. So when he went to visit there, so then he had the kitchen built there. So he gave. So next time when we went, we saw it was like pakka kitchen and everything was pakka over there.
But it was not, I think, gobar gas one. It isn't this natural gas one. Cylinder wala nahi hai.
Yeah, okay.
It's the gobar gas one. Natural.
Does he have any assistant there or he just...
No, now the villagers from surrounding areas, they come and there's a lady who will come and she'll assist him. But he'll take her help, but he won't take help of, devotees going from outside. No.
If he said
Don't
again,
touch
we cut the...
Yeah, my God, he's...
Yeah.
And then, remember from Rajana Prabhu, right? He was telling us that there have been times when people have actually seen animals like roaming around, really dangerous. There was a snake once found, python, just sleeping around along with him. He was sleeping and there was a python along with him. Because he was in a jungle, right? And it's been so many years, so there's no control over that. So nobody touched him, none of the animals touched him or harmed him, anything. Or he broke his back because the branch of tree fell on him some point of time. And so he broke so he's half bent. He'll walk, but like my husband says, just walk so swiftly. It's just to see his devotion and his enthusiasm, the mood of service, it is so touching. You just cry seeing him. So sweet.
How old is he?
He's 90 plus, definitely. I don't know if he's alive
He's 90
now.
plus because, he started worshipping the deities over there when he was 8 years old. All alone he was there. So right next to the temple is the house of Vasudev Ghosh. So they're building a temple over there also, the house of Vasudev and Ghosh. Bhakti Vinod Thakur used to go there.
He has cities of Nitai.
He has deities on Nitai also. So his main deity is Radha Madan Gopal. So it's in Mayapur. It's a little bit, maybe an hour outside of Mayapur. In there. So when Bhakti Vinod Thakur was living there, and he was a magistrate, so I guess he could do stuff that people could not. From his house to his office, he built a railway line. So he would get out of his house, get into the railway, go on the track, get out of his office. So the railway line goes in front of the temple. So the railway would stop over there. He would take darshan, then he would continue from there. So how we can do Aarti now. So we'll if I can request you to stand up and we'll do Aarti.